You're waiting for someone to notice you, waiting for someone to clap when you try, to stand beside you when you fall, to say, I believe in you. But here's the truth nobody had the courage to tell you. Nobody cares. Not the way you want them to. Not the way you imagine in your head late at night when you're fighting your own thoughts. The world doesn't stop for your pain. It doesn't pause for your dreams. It doesn't slow down just because you feel lost. And that can be your greatest advantage. Because the moment you accept that nobody's coming to save you, something inside you shifts. You stop performing. You stop begging for validation. You stop living your life like it's an audition for people who are never going to choose you anyway. And you start moving differently, silently, strategically, dangerously focused. This is where power is born. Not in applause, but in isolation. Not in approval, but in self-respect. You see, the strongest people you admire, they weren't built in moments of support. They were built in the shadows, where no one was watching, where no one cared, where quitting would have been easy and invisible. So understand this. If nobody cares, then you are finally free. Free to fail, free to rise, free to become something so undeniable that one day they won't have a choice but to notice. But by then, you won't need them anymore. So stop looking around. Look within. Because at the end of the day, you are not doing this for them, you are doing this for you. You wake up every day with something heavy sitting on your chest. Not fear, not exactly, not sadness, not completely. It's something deeper. It's the quiet realization that you are capable of more, but you're not becoming more. And somewhere inside you there's a voice, a dangerous voice that whispers, maybe someone will notice me someday. Maybe someone will give me a chance. Maybe someone will come and change everything. But life doesn't work like that. No one is studying your struggle. No one is analyzing your sleepless nights. No one is keeping score of how many times you tried and failed. To them, you are just another face in the crowd. And I know that hurts because you've been taught your whole life to believe that effort gets recognized, that good hearts get rewarded, that if you just hold on long enough, someone will come and lift you up. But the world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on perception, power, and presence. And if you don't build those things yourself, you will be ignored, not because you don't matter, but because you haven't made yourself impossible to ignore. There's a brutal clarity in that truth. Nobody cares. Say it again, slowly this time. Nobody cares. Not your friends who clap when it's convenient. Not your family who love you but don't understand your vision. Not the people scrolling past your life while comparing it to their own. Everyone is busy fighting their own battles, chasing their own validation, trying to survive in their own way. And once you truly understand this, you stop taking things personally. You stop expecting the world to adjust itself for you. And something powerful happens. You become independent, not just financially, but mentally. You stop explaining yourself. You stop announcing your plans. You stop seeking approval before you take action. You move in silence because you finally understand something most people never will. Attention is not given, it is taken. Respect is not requested, it is earned. And value is not declared, it is demonstrated. So instead of waiting for someone to believe in you, you become someone worth believing in. You sharpen your skills when no one is watching. You discipline your mind when no one is guiding you. You build your body, your craft, your focus without applause. And it feels lonely. Of course it does, because growth, real growth, isolates you. It separates you from comfort. It distances you from average thinking. It pulls you away from people who don't understand why you're changing. They'll say you've become different, and they're right, because you're no longer dependent on their validation. You're no longer chasing their approval. You've stepped into a different game entirely. A game where the only competition is who you were yesterday, But here's the part most people don't talk about. When you stop needing people, people start noticing you. When you stop chasing attention, attention starts chasing you. When you stop explaining your worth, your presence begins to speak for itself. That's power, quiet power, the kind of power that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't prove, it simply exists and dominates. But you don't reach that level overnight. You earn it through days when you don't feel like continuing, but you do, through nights when doubt creeps in, but you stay focused, through moments when quitting would be easy, but you choose discipline instead, because now you're not doing this for them. You're not doing this for applause. You're not doing this for recognition. You're not doing this to prove anyone wrong. You're doing this because you've seen what happens when you don't. You've felt the frustration of wasted potential. You've experienced the pain of staying the same. You've looked at your life and realized no one is coming to fix it. And that realization, that brutal, uncomfortable, undeniable realization, it sets you free, free from expectations, free from dependence, free from the illusion that someone else will save you. Because now you understand, if your life is going to change, it will be because you changed it. No shortcuts, no saviors, no excuses, just you, your discipline, your mindset, your consistency. Day after day, move after move, decision after decision, until one day something shifts. Not outside, but inside. You walk differently, you speak differently, you think differently, and people start asking questions. What changed about you? How did you do it? And the truth is, nothing magical happened. You just stopped waiting. You stopped hoping someone would care, and you started caring about yourself relentlessly. And that's when everything begins. So listen carefully. If you're still waiting for validation, stop. If you're still hoping someone will notice you, stop. If you're still depending on others to push you forward, stop. Because the moment you accept that nobody cares is the exact moment you become dangerous. Dangerous to your old habits, dangerous to your limitations, dangerous to the version of you that stayed stuck for too long. So stand up silently, no announcements, no declarations, just a decision. A decision that from this moment forward, you will become someone who doesn't need the world's attention because you're too busy building a life that demands it. And when that day comes, when the results show, when the discipline becomes visible, when the success can no longer be ignored, they will look at you differently, they will respect you, they will admire you, they will finally care. But by then, you won't, because you didn't build this for them, you built this for you. There comes a moment in your life, quiet, almost invisible, where something inside you breaks. Not loudly, not dramatically, silently. It's the moment you realize no one is coming, no rescue, no sudden opportunity handed to you, no person who sees your hidden potential and decides to change your life. Just silence. And at first that silence feels like abandonment. You look around and everyone seems busy, distracted, consumed in their own world. You think, why doesn't anyone see me? Why doesn't anyone understand what I'm capable of? But you're asking the wrong question. The real question is, why are you waiting to be seen? That's the trap. A subtle, dangerous trap that keeps millions of people exactly where they are, waiting for validation that was never guaranteed. You've been conditioned to believe that recognition is a reward for effort. It's not. Recognition is a byproduct of power, and power is built in isolation. While you are waiting for someone to care because someone else is working, while you are hoping to be noticed, someone else is becoming undeniable. And the gap between you and them, it grows. Not because they are more talented, not because they are more lucky, but because they accepted a truth you are still resisting. Nobody cares. Let that sink in, not in a negative way, but in a liberating way. Because once you accept that nobody is watching, you stop performing. You stop trying to look successful, and you start becoming successful. There's a difference, a dangerous difference. One is built on illusion, The other is built on discipline, and discipline doesn't need an audience. It thrives in darkness. Early mornings when your mind is weak, late nights when your body wants to quit, moments where every excuse feels valid. That's where you are forged. That's where you separate yourself from the version of you that needed attention to function. Because let's be honest, if people stopped clapping for you today, would you still continue? If no one ever liked your posts again, would you still show up? If no one ever acknowledged your effort, would you still push forward? Most people wouldn't. That's why most people stay average. They are addicted not to growth, but to approval. And approval is unstable. It comes and goes. It depends on moods, trends, opinions. But self-respect, that's different. That's internal. That's built when you do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. That's built when no one is watching and you still show up. And here's where it gets uncomfortable, because once you stop needing people, you start seeing people differently. You notice how many are lost, how many are pretending, how many are chasing validation instead of building value. And you realize something else. You were never behind, you were just distracted. Distracted by comparison, distracted by opinions, distracted by the need to be liked. But now, that's gone. Now there's only one focus, you. Not the weak version of you, not the version that hesitates and doubts and waits, the disciplined version, the version that moves with intention, that doesn't speak too much, that doesn't explain its plans, because it understands a powerful principle. The more you talk, the less you do. The more you show, the less you build. So you become quiet, strategically quiet. You let your actions speak. You let your results communicate. And slowly things begin to change. Your habits sharpen. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your standards rise. You no longer tolerate excuses from yourself because you know exactly where excuses lead. Nowhere. And this is where most people break, because this level of self-honesty, it's brutal. You can't blame anyone anymore. You can't hide behind circumstances. You can't pretend you didn't know better. It's all on you. Every result, every failure, every missed opportunity, you own it completely. And that ownership, that responsibility, it transforms you, because now you're in control, not of everything, but of enough. Enough to change your direction, enough to improve your situation, enough to build something real. But it requires one thing: consistency. Not motivation, not inspiration, consistency. Doing the work when it's boring, doing the work when it's hard, doing the work when no one cares, especially when no one cares. Because that's the test, that's the moment that defines you. Anyone can perform when they're being watched. Anyone can try when they're being supported. But can you continue in silence? Can you build without recognition? Can you push forward without external validation? If the answer is yes, then you've already separated yourself, because now you're operating on a different level, a level where your identity is not tied to opinions, a level where your worth is not dependent on attention, a level where your focus is internal, not external. And from that place, you become dangerous. Not loud, not aggressive, but precise, focused, unshakable, because you've removed the biggest weakness most people have, the need for others. And when you no longer need others, you become unpredictable. You take risks others avoid. You make moves others hesitate to make. You commit when others quit. And over time, those small differences compound. They turn into results. Visible results, the kind people can't ignore, the kind people suddenly start asking about. How did you do it? What changed? And you realize something almost ironic. The moment people start caring is the moment you stop needing them to. That's the shift, that's the transformation, that's the power of understanding a simple truth. Nobody cares. And instead of letting that break you, you let it build you. So now, there's only one question left. What are you going to do with that truth? Will you go back to waiting, back to hoping, back to needing validation? Or Will you step into something rare, something uncomfortable, something powerful, a life where you don't depend on anyone's attention because you are too focused on your own evolution? Choose carefully, because this decision, this quiet internal decision, it will define everything that comes next. And remember this, you don't need the world to believe in you. You need you. That's it. That's enough. At some point, you have to get tired. Not a soft kind of tired. Not the kind that sleeps it off and wakes up the same. I'm talking about a deep internal exhaustion. The kind that comes from watching your own potential go to waste. The kind that hits you when you realize you've been playing small in a world that only respects strength. And here's the part you don't want to hear. It's your fault, not your past, not your circumstances, not the people who doubted you. You. Because every time you hesitated, every time you waited, every time you needed someone else to push you, you gave your power away. And the world noticed. Oh yes, it noticed. Because the world has a ruthless rule. It only respects those who respect themselves. And self-respect is not words. It's not confidence you pretend to have. It's not something you post or say or claim. It's action. Relentless, consistent, disciplined action. But you haven't been doing that, have you? You've been negotiating with your comfort, telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll try when I feel ready. I just need the right moment. There is no right moment. There is only a decision. And every day you delay that decision, you reinforce a dangerous identity. Someone who talks but doesn't execute. Someone who dreams but doesn't act. Someone who wants the result but avoids the process. And let me be clear, the world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. So while you've been thinking, overanalyzing, waiting for clarity, someone else has been moving. Imperfectly, messily, but consistently, and that's why they're ahead. Not because they're better than you, but because they refuse to stay where you are. Now here's where it changes. Right now, not tomorrow, not later, now, you make a decision, a cold, sharp, irreversible decision that you are done being average, done being invisible, done being controlled by your own excuses. Because understand this, excuses are not harmless. They are weapons. Weapons you use against yourself. Every excuse cuts your discipline, weakens your identity, destroys your momentum, and the more you use them, the harder it becomes to stop. Until one day, you look at your life and realize you built nothing. That's the future you're heading toward if you don't change. And no one is going to stop you from getting there, because nobody cares. Say it again, nobody cares. No one is tracking your wasted time. No one is counting your missed opportunities. No one is going to knock on your door and demand that you become better. That responsibility belongs to you, only you. And that's not a weakness. That's power. Because the moment you accept full responsibility, you gain full control. Now there are no limits except the ones you tolerate. And that's where dominance begins. Not over others, but over yourself, over your habits, over your emotions, over your impulses. You wake up and you move. No negotiation, no hesitation. You do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Because feelings are irrelevant. Feelings change, discipline doesn't. You train your mind to obey, not complain. You build routines that eliminate decision making. You remove distractions, cut off anything that weakens your focus. Because now you are operating with intention. Every action has a purpose. Every move is calculated. You're not just working hard, you're working with precision. And slowly, something terrifying happens. You become consistent, not for a day, not for a week, but over time. And consistency is what transforms ordinary people into unstoppable forces. Because most people can't maintain it. They break, they lose focus, they get distracted, they fall back into comfort. But you don't. Not anymore, because you've seen what comfort costs. It costs your future, it costs your growth, It costs your potential. So you reject it daily, aggressively. And as you do, your identity shifts. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to improve. You see yourself as someone who executes, someone who finishes, someone who doesn't stop. And that identity, it changes everything because now your actions align with your standards, and your standards are no longer average. They are high, unreasonably high. You expect more from yourself than anyone else ever could, and you deliver again and again and again. Until one day you look around and realize something has changed. The same people who ignored you now notice you. The same people who doubted you now respect you. The same people who didn't care now ask for your attention. And here's the truth. It's too late because you didn't build this for them. You built this through pain, through discipline, through moments they never saw. You built this when nobody cared, and now you don't need them to. That's the final level. Independence, complete, unshakable. You are no longer driven by validation. You are driven by standards, by vision, by purpose. And that makes you dangerous in a way most people will never understand. Because you don't stop, you don't slow down, you don't go back. So here's your choice. Stay where you are, comfortable, distracted, waiting, or become something rare, something disciplined, something focused, something relentless. But understand this, you cannot have both, comfort or growth, excuses or results, average, dominance. Choose, and once you choose, don't speak about it. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just act. Every day, every hour, every moment you get the chance, until your life becomes proof that you never needed anyone to care, because you finally did something most people never will. You cared about yourself enough to become unstoppable.